Good evening. The sound of the singing bowl, I'm going to ask you to take a moment to prepare yourself for our time together. Welcome. I'm Reverend Ron Carstetter, the Senior Minister of Unity of Lehigh Valley in Emmaus, Pennsylvania. Together with Amy Conley, our Director of Music and Arts here at Unity of Fairfax, we welcome you who are joining us in person and also online tonight for this Transgender Day of Remembrance service. For those in the sanctuary erring on the side of love and safety, face masks are required unless you are speaking from the platform or during hospitality after the service. Also, for your comfort, restrooms are located down this hallway to the left and to the right, up the hallway and left there. Also, to maintain a prayerful space, we ask that you turn your cell phones off or on vibrate. So why do we gather tonight? Transgender advocate Gwendolyn Ann Smith started this tradition in 1999 in memory of Rita Hester, a transgender woman who had been killed the previous year. Since then, this annual event serves the dual purpose of honoring the dead and raising public awareness of hate crimes against transgender people, that is, transsexuals, cross-dressers, and other gender-variant people. We gather to remember, and we will continue to gather until all are accepted for just being themselves, human beings created in the image and likeness of God. This Unity of Fairfax community is sharing this solemn day of remembrance with several interfaith partners and is proud to be the host congregation for this event this year. Together we affirm that this will be a safe and sacred space for you, as well as a time of blessing. And so in a consciousness of oneness, we join our hearts in a moment of prayer. God beyond all names, we pray a blessing for the souls of all who are in our hearts on this Transgender Day of Remembrance. We call to mind today young and old, of every race, faith, and gender experience, who have died by violence. We remember those who have died because they would not hide, or did not pass, or did pass, or stood too proud. Today we name them the reluctant activist, the fiery hunter of heels, the warrior for quiet truth, the one whom no one really knew. As many as we can name, there are many more whom we cannot, and for whom no prayer may have been said. And so in this sacred now moment, we hold them all in the light of God's love. We mourn their senseless deaths and give thanks for their lives, for their teaching, and for the brief glow of each holy flame. We pray for the strength to carry on their legacy of vision, bravery, and love. And as we remember them, we remember also the many more who have taken their own lives. We pray for resolve to root out injustice, ignorance, and cruelty that grow despair. We pray that all those who perpetrate hate and violence will speedily come to understand that the divine has many faces, many genders, and many holy expressions. Blessed are they who have allowed their divine image to shine in this world. Blessed is God, in whom no light is extinguished. And from our unity tradition, the prayer of protection, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And so it is. Amen.
Hey everyone, I'm Senior Minister Reverend Russell Highland here at Unity of Fairfax, and it is our pleasure and our honor to host tonight's Transgender Day of Remembrance celebration and service. I'm not in Fairfax, as you are aware. I am in my hometown, Muncie, Indiana, and being hosted today by Community of Hope United Methodist Church. We'll say more about that in a moment. Growing up here in the Midwest, I was very fortunate that as an emerging gay person, I had a supportive and loving family that had gay friends in a part of the country that isn't necessarily known for that sort of thing. Well, there was a beautiful family across the street from us that we were close to, and I've invited one of the members of that family, Charlize Jameson, to share a few words with us today.
Thank you, Russell. I have very fond memories of living across the street from the Highland family. They were such fun people, and I'm giving away my age a little bit here, but I remember when Rusty was this tall and running around the yard in the neighborhood, but I knew then that he was such a kind child, and I'm very pleased to see that he's grown up into a very kind man. And I'm not surprised at all now that he's in the ministry. So we have reconnected. I think we've seen each other twice since you had moved away, and I couldn't be happier for your happiness and what you're doing in life. And I'm now retired, but every so often I drive by the old house and see how it's changed. Rusty's parents still live in that house. And so the neighborhood has changed a lot, but it's great to know that wonderful people are still inhabiting that house. And thank you for having me on this video.
We also are joined by Reverend Keith Turner, the pastor here at Community of Hope.
Thank you, Russ. It's a joy to be with you through this wonderful technology format that links us together no matter where we are in the world. When you were introduced to Community of Hope, you heard that we are a United Methodist Church, and you may have thought to yourself, a United Methodist Church? Well, aren't they in a mess? And yes, we are. Our denominational life is in turmoil, but here at Community of Hope, we desire to be the United Methodist Church of tomorrow, today. And that means we are a fully inclusive and affirming United Methodist Church here in the Muncie community. On this Transgender Day of Remembrance, I'm reminded of the words of John Wesley, the founder of Methodism, who set forth 3 simple rules for all who would call themselves Methodists to follow. The first of which states simply, do no harm by any word or deed. I don't believe anyone has to be a Methodist to follow that rule. And we are reminded today of the harm that continues to be perpetuated against the trans community across this nation, particularly trans women of color. We strive for the day when all harm, all violence, and all death will cease against the transgender community and all communities. We work for peace together, no matter our tradition, no matter where we find ourselves in the world. That is our goal. That is our aim. Whether you're in Virginia or Indiana, we come together to strive for this holy task.
If I could add,
Please.
Muncie, Indiana, if you're not familiar, is it's in the middle of a very traditional part of our country. It's a very conservative state. and Muncie follows suit in many ways. I think it's important and noteworthy on this Transgender Awareness Week and Transgender Day of Remembrance that follows, that our City Hall lights up in pink and blue all of this week to commemorate Transgender Awareness Week and Trans Day of Remembrance. That is no small item in a town like Muncie, and I am thrilled that symbolism is there for the whole city to see and understand. And I long for the day that we don't need a Transgender Day of Remembrance. I don't know if that'll happen in my lifetime, but that should be our goal, that no one dies because of who they are and how they live their life.
Amen. And thank you all for participating this evening. May this be a very memorable and meaningful time for us all. Good night.
Sticks and stones. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Not true. Names do damage too. Names enter our souls, and with every beat of our hearts, the poison goes through us, into our minds and into our spirits, until we come to believe that we are the targets of their hate. And it is us they want to murder, to kill, with their guns, knives, sticks, rocks, bricks, punches, kicks, and stones. We are made in the image of God, divinity, male and female, and all the space in between. And the people who hate us, we who have made a journey between the genders, do not see us as individuals. They do not see us at all. They do not get to know us, learn who we are, hear our journey of courage and our stories of strength, and the challenging path that we follow to our truth. What is it they hate? What is it they fear? They do not know us. They fear what they do not know. They call us names, but they do not know our names.
Blessing for Twilight by Rabbi Reuben Zalman. This is adapted from a Hebrew prayer called the Ma'ariv Aravim that Jewish communities say every night. As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. We are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles, at the intersections of histories, or between place and place. We are crisscrossed paths of memory and destination, streaks of light swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both, neither, and all. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up into this twilight. We cannot always define. We can always say a blessing. Blessed are you, God of all, who brings on the twilight, and blessed are we, twilight people.
I'll light a candle Good evening, friends. It is an honor to be here with you this evening. As you see, I am the pastor of Washington Plaza Baptist Church in Reston, Virginia. And as I was thinking about what I would share here tonight, there are just a few things that came to mind here, so I hope you will just take this journey with me and receive it in the spirit in which I mean it. I was thinking today about the first transgender person I ever met. I was 10 years old. My mother and I, who lived in rural Virginia, went one weekend to Washington, D.C. with my aunt to get our hair done at the salon she frequented there. And the trip was overwhelming to my senses. There were bustling streets I'd never experienced before. There were neon lights, and there was music pouring out of every storefront. This was in the early 70s, and D.C. was a very happening place at that time. And at the salon, my hairdresser was a woman named Miss Yvonne. And she was tall, she was thin, she was dark, and she was beautiful. She was different. And though I wasn't afraid, I was mainly shy, curious, but utterly enchanted. I knew there was something special about Miss Yvonne. That was over 50 years ago, and I have never forgotten her. Never. But now I'm older and I'm wiser, as most of us here are. I know a bit more about the world and how it treats its people, and especially how it treats those people who are deemed different, who puzzle us, who make us feel uncomfortable in one way or another. And so now as I think about Miss Yvonne, I realize how brave she was. And I wonder how many times she was accosted. And did her beautiful black mask-like face hide pain? I don't know. I wonder how many catcalls she endured. How many times she was beaten by a boyfriend or just a stranger. I wonder, did she have a biological family that loved and embraced her? Or was she shunned for living her truth? I have so much respect for her and her will to survive and to live into that truth. These days, I wonder if she died young. And now that I am a Christian minister, I wonder if she ever felt safe to walk into a church. And that is why I am here tonight, and why I'm so honored and humbled to take part in this observance, because I am a Baptist minister. And Baptists are Congregationalists, which means that every church gets to do its own thing and decide its own polity. I'm not a Southern Baptist, but I share a name with people who are doing harm and promoting violence and hatred into this world against the LGBTQ community. I'm a member of AWAB. We are a small organization called the Alliance of Welcoming and Affirming Baptists. I have taught and mentored transgender students at Union Theological Seminary. My church is the host of the Reston Pride Festival. And as I say all of these things, it sounds like a whole lot of self-justification. A lot of words saying, I'm one of the good ones. I'm one of the good ones. But I do stand with you. I do grieve for all of the names that will be read tonight. And it is not lost on me, as though it is same as it is not lost on you, that many of these names sound Black or Latino. I grieve over all of this, but there's still something in me that feels like it isn't enough. Don't we all, in one way or another, feel like we're doing all we can, but it isn't enough? And that is because the work of justice ultimately is rewarding, but in the meantime, it is exhausting. And as I woke up this morning, getting ready to go to church to lead service, and I looked at my phone, and I saw what happened late last night, the only thing I could say is not again, and Lord have mercy. And my church this morning heard a sermon they probably weren't expecting, but I think it was one that we all needed to hear. So I know that it is hard. And as a black woman, a member of a historically oppressed people who sometimes presents in ways that make people question who I am, when all they have to do is come up and ask me, I have it worked down deep into my spirit, a determined resilience. And that's what I would say to each of us tonight. This is a service of remembrance for the people whose names we will speak aloud shortly. This is a service of remembrance also for the people who were killed and injured last night. This is a service of remembrance for every family that will mourn the fact that there is an empty seat at their table this Thanksgiving, whether it is a blood family or a chosen family. I know that that is real. But one of the things that I also know is that you take your time to grieve, to mourn, and then you get up and you straighten up your shoulders and you keep on fighting, keep on pushing, and keep on loving. So as I prepare to take my seat, I just want to share with you a very short little song. I'm going to sing it a cappella, but it is one that has gotten me through many dark times, and may it speak some strength and some comfort into your lives as well. And it's very simple. It says, I don't feel no ways tired. I've come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy, but I don't believe God brought me this far to leave me. And if God is not a word that you are comfortable with, I don't believe love brought me this far to leave me. I don't feel no ways tired. I've come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy. I don't believe love brought me this far to leave me. I don't feel no ways tired. I've come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy, but I don't believe love brought me this far. I don't believe love brought me this far. I don't believe love brought me this far. We don't believe love brought us this far to leave us. Amen. May it be so.
Jews are a people of transition. This may seem like a misnomer. After all, we are one of the oldest religions and cultures out there, coming into its current form around the 6th century BCE. We are all about tradition. There are things we do now that we have done for thousands of years, largely unchanged. We kindle Shabbat candles every Friday night. We wear kippot, or yarmulkes, as you might know them, in holy spaces. We blow the shofar, a ram's horn, on Yom Kippur, our holiest holiday, as we have for thousands of years. I still get a shiver up my spine every year when I think about all of the Jews in all of the centuries past who have heard that same blast. Some of our traditions can be seen as backwards, such as keeping kosher. I've heard that a lot. We now know scientifically that the likely reason ancient Jews declared the pig and shellfish unclean was probably because of illnesses carried by those animals and a desire to keep our people safe. But we still, in the modern day, do it because God said so. These are the things that you must do. But we are a people of transition. We've moved a lot over the years, across the desert when Moses fought the Pharaoh, out of Europe in the 1940s, to Israel now, regardless of your stance on it. We have rituals for everything, and that includes the changes in life. When you move from the womb to the world, you are named in a very specific way, given a ritual Hebrew name to honor your faith. When you move to adulthood, you are honored with becoming a B'nai Mitzvah, where you read from the Torah and are blessed by your rabbi and community. When you move from a woman to a wife, you're married under the chuppah. You sign a contract called a ketubah. You are dressed by your love in a ceremony called a bedekin. As I move from a woman to a man, I will immerse myself in a ritual bath called a mikveh, a pool of living water we immerse in for many life changes, and I will be renamed by one of my rabbis. We are a people who mark the way we move through the world. I am a transgender man. As I transition, I realize there are rituals to it that I never noticed and that some men will never come across. The action of holding my syringe in my hand before I inject it, I say it's to warm the testosterone and make it easier to inject, but there is no practical explanation for the deliberate and specific breaths I take as I roll it around. Every time I cut my hair, that is a ritual ascribed to masculinity and my maleness. I do not like people seeing me cry, and I will actively move away if I start tearing up. This, again, is a masculine ritual, because if others see me cry, they will see me as weak, and I will be less of a man. Not, they will see me as less of a man, I will be less of a man. It's a toxic mindset, it's a ritual, it's a prayer. Please do not see me as anything other than a man. Being a man is lonely, and being transgender is lonely. I sometimes wonder, as I'm sure all my trans siblings do or have done at some point, if it's worth it. I am the caring and clergy assistant at a very large Reformed Jewish temple, and that means that I'm otherwise known as the death guy. I go to a couple of funerals a month. I'm very familiar with prayers and loneliness. Jews do not shy away from death. We don't say someone's passed away or that they are in a better place. We say they died. We look death in the face. We have experienced too much of it to be afraid of it. Every Friday, I prepare the yahrzeit list, dozens of different names every week of deceased loved ones whose death anniversary it is. Much like we're doing here tonight, we read their names and we remember them. And in that way, they are never, ever forgotten. We have something called kriya ribbons, black ribbons that we pin to our shirts and rip when we mourn a loved one. It feels tactile in a way that we don't often get in our modern world. There's a comfort in the ritual. Each of them is there for a reason. It's hard to find a hopeful spin here, when the only reason I and many people in this room and watching online are here is because of luck. Many of our sisters, brothers, and siblings, such as the ones remembered here tonight, were lost to the violence of others. Many more were lost to their own demons created by an unsupportive society, a cruel family, a mental illness. And even with those lost to the violence of others, we don't know them all. Murders go unreported, as trans homicides are often reported with the victim's incorrect name and pronouns. No government agency tracks the murders of trans people. It is yet another lonely thing we are forced to do on our own. There's no way to make sense of these deaths. That makes it so much harder. There's no illness or age or failure of the body. The only reason behind it is hate. It's very easy to get wrapped up in the hate and anger and sorrow. You worry for your siblings. You worry for yourself. You wonder who is next. You think, oh, another one. The 41 souls lost to us this year alone did not shy away from who they were. They remembered, yes, even in the painful times, in the times we hate our bodies and wish we had never transitioned, it is worth it to be trans. It is much safer to stay in the closet, but it is also much more miserable. Daniel Mallory Ortberg said, "God blessed me by making me transsexual for the same reason he made wheat but not bread and fruit but not wine, because he wants humanity to share in the act of creation." I choose, as they chose, to share in God's ritual and to make myself into the man I am meant to be. And if others hate me for that, then so be it. It will be hard and dangerous and lonely, and it will be worth it. When you have nothing left and you feel you are going to drown, fall back on the ritual. Light a candle for them. Rip a Kriya ribbon. Pray. One day, hopefully soon, we will not need the ritual anymore.
Good evening. I am a proud mom of 2 beautiful daughters. And my oldest daughter is trans. I spoke here many years ago, and some have changed, some things unfortunately have not. I stand as a rebel. I stand in silence, and I also stand in love. I stand as a rebel. When I was blessed, it was really highlighted and shined, which I think partly brought me to speaking for the first time here at this ceremony. As a parent, I was able to speak out loud, fight for my child, and many, many others for our work in a school system. The fight was just for the safety of my child and others, for them to be able to be comfortable in who they are in every setting that they walked in, to use the restroom, to learn in a safe environment where they could be called by their names, so that they can be called by their pronouns. To be protected in every setting, whether it was in the classroom, in the hallway, on the bus, on a field trip, on the sports field. Wherever our children were, they should feel safe. I yelled, I presented at school boards, at parent meetings. I seized every opportunity, whether I was asked to or not. I didn't allow people to misspeak. I didn't allow, and I called people on it and held them responsible for their role. Not allowing them to say some students, but always all students. to include my daughter. So I had to wear that rebel hat, that dual hat of a parent that quickly shifted to an administrator in a county because I knew the behind conversations that we're having. And I would ask those questions about the trainings that were provided, all in the name, to selfishly say at that time, for my child. Well, my rebelness rubbed off on my little one. She joined me at the school board meeting. We'll never forget that moment. We outed our family, didn't realize we were on the news. But I looked at my daughter, who at the time was in elementary school. Yeah, 6th grader. And I looked at her and I said, well, she was like, bring it. Yeah, I created that baby rebel. I own it. She also didn't stop there. It ignited something inside her that really was always there. She had a petition for her to be able to go to the girls' locker room. It was ludicrous for her. She was like, Mom, I'm a girl. Why can't I go there? I don't want to walk all the way to the nurse's cold clinic in the bathroom to change. I'll be late. So her innocence, and she had a whole group of young ladies who felt the same way. Why can't you be in here? That's stupid. It made no sense to the students. They didn't see a problem with it. They thought it was a waste of time. And really, they used the words bullied. Why are they bullying you? Why can't you just go where you are supposed to go? She didn't stop there. She went in the neighborhood, walking around, taking a poll at that time with people in our community and their comfort level. She was in their face. She challenged them. One thing I remembered from her, because she was so insightful, even at a very young age and throughout. I asked her, how do you feel? And she said, like a girl. She just looked at me like, why are you asking me this question? She said, Mom, it's a transition. So very similar to the speaker ahead of me. It's a transition, but I'm a girl. Period. I said, oh, yes, ma'am. Okay. Please don't misunderstand when I say that we stood as a rebel, because you know when you stand as a rebel, as a parent, you're modeling for your children. But it did come with a cost. My daughter was bullied. She had to take a year off of school because it became so mental health heaviness for her. She challenged and waited and just always contemplating. She was sure who she was, but what she struggled with was her world around her, why they couldn't understand. Why were they so mean and cruel and hateful? That was hard to explain as a mom. Because we went to church, it didn't match anything in our world of why. So I found myself, as well as my family, we moved to silence. I had to stand in silence. Kinda, sorta. I was no longer able to talk at school board meetings. I was no more able to march. I couldn't like certain things on all the social medias because literally I was being tracked. I became an obstacle for the work that needed to be done. And heck no was I going to allow that. So I had to stand in silence. As a mom, I had to show my daughter a new way to still be who she is. So we moved through different organizations. They were able to be the loud voice for our heart. That was huge for me to learn at my ripe old age. And as a mom, I had to allow my pride to sit down and find creative ways to really allow other people. So through the school, I found different clubs, the leaders, the sponsors, and I'm like, hey, have you thought about this? I would work through counselors and admin and teachers. These are the things that we need to make sure we have in our building, not just for my daughter, but for all my daughters in the schools. Not just my school, but all the schools in the county and those around. So although I stood in silence, I still was able to kind of push forward as a mom, as a parent. And my daughter was able to see that and find ways to do the same work. So she's a gamer, so through her gaming, she would find opportunities to educate and share and be kind and be that model for others without putting her in a position where she would get the backlash, the negativity, the fear, so abrupt in her face. It still existed. I stand in love. To know that the hate is still, as the Reverend mentioned just last night, we have a state right now where hate is allowed. I often see that privacy and boundaries, I don't say that they don't exist, but they're very different for our youth today. They share and expose everything. There's a difference as far as being kind. They just say, I'm just saying what I see or what I feel, without knowing the huge consequences that it carries. As a mom, as I mentioned before, my daughter does still struggle. It is different now. She not only hurts for herself and had to learn ways to be able to still push through it. And one thing as a mom, I'm proud to say that through love and surrounding her and making sure she has that environment where she can feel safe to feel whatever she feels. We do stand in love. But this has to end. So I'm happy to say that my daughter is finding her way to have her voice. She wants to do a podcast and really reach those students or, young ladies out there, in particular in our minority community, where a lot of us sometimes don't have that safe place. She wants to be that place for them so they can talk and collaborate, but having that consistency of knowing that they're loved for who they are. As a mom, a mama bear, mommy, all those terms I get to hear from both of my daughters. I shared with them where I was tonight and the importance of being able to have that voice to remember those and their story so that we can continue and move forward, but not forget those that we have unfortunately lost because of someone else's fear. Lastly, as a mom, as a parent, unfortunately, it's only a one single parent home. Their father is getting to a place now where he can love unconditionally. It took him a while to get here. So I reach out to all the moms out there, whether you're with someone or not, listen to all of our babies. Share your passion. That's why you're here, your passion and love. I'm sorry. Just remembering the times my daughter just really, really struggled and had a difficult time, and feeling blessed because of those that have unfortunately lost their lives, but also that are still here walking with us. We thank you as we all stand in love together. Thank you for your time.
God, full of compassion, remember those whose souls were taken in transphobic violence. Their souls reflected the tremendous, multitudinous splendors of your creation. They illustrated your vastness through their ever-expanding variations of being B'Tselem Elohim, of being made in your image. Source of mercy, provide them the true shelter and peace that they deserved in the world. Their deaths were caused by hatred in our society. It is upon us to repair this brokenness in our world. May we have the strength to sanction justice speedily and in our days. For those who died by murder, we remember them. For those who died by suicide, we remembered them. We remember their names, for those names will forever be a blessing. Nurturing one, comfort all who are mourning. Grant them healing in their hardship. Benomar, Amen. And let us say, Amen.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them.
In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them.
In the opening buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them.
In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them.
When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them.
When we have joys and celebrations, we remember them.
Their voices still call to us, sing to us, whisper to us. We remember them.
So long as we live, they too shall live.
For they are now part of us.
As we remember them.
Ruby Dominguez, 29, Brownsville, Texas, July 16th, 2021.
Kiva Scatter, 34 years of age, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, October 15th, 2021.
Danielle Johnson, 35, Memphis, Tennessee, November 7th, 2021.
Angel Nera, 36 years old, Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, November 11th, 2021.
Nikai David, 33, Oakland, California, December 4th, 2021.
Martina Caldera, 38 years old, Houston, Texas, December 6th, 2021.
Sanaya Williams, 21, Houston, Texas, December 20, 2021.
Kayahona Stone, 32 years old, Indianapolis, Indiana, December 28, 2021.
Amaray Lay, 19 years old, Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania, December 31st, 2021.
Nikki Turrieta, 31 years old, Albuquerque, New Mexico, December 31st, 2021.
Duval Princess, 24 years old, Jacksonville, Florida, January 2nd, 2022.
Matthew Angelo Spampinato, 21 years old, Newcastle, Delaware, February 9th, 2022.
Naomi Skinner, 25 years old, Highland Park, Michigan, February 12th, 2022.
Cypress Ramos, 21 years old, Lubbock, Texas, February 13th, 2022.
Paloma Vasquez, 29 years old, Houston, Texas, February 22nd, 2022.
Tatiana LaBelle, 33 years old, Chicago, Illinois, March 18th, 2022.
Catherine Katie Newhouse, 19 years old, Cherokee County, Georgia, March 19th, 2022.
Kenyatta Kesha Webster, 24 years old, Jackson, Mississippi, March 25th, 2022.
Miaya Love Parker, 25 years old, Chester, Pennsylvania, April 1st, 2022.
Ariana Mitchell, 17 years old, Hampton, Virginia, April 2nd, 2022.
Fern Feather, 29 years old, Morristown, Vermont, April 12th, 2022.
Ray Muscat, 24 years old, Oakland County, Michigan, May 8th, 2022.
Sasha Mason, 45 years old, Zebulon, North Carolina, May 13th, 2022.
Nedra Sequence Morris, 50 years old, Opelika, Florida, May 14th, 2022.
Maddie Hoffman, 47, Malvern, Pennsylvania, May 19th, 2022.
Shanalika Yella Dior Hemingway, 30 years old, Albany, New York, May 31st, 2022.
Brazil Johnson, 28 years old, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, June 15th, 2022.
Kitty Monroe, age unknown, Cordova, Tennessee, June 29th, 2022.
Charmaine Gazelle Marie, 27 years old, Gulfport, Mississippi, June 29th, 2022.
Cherry Bush, 48 years old, Los Angeles, California, July 5th, 2022.
Jasper Aaron Lynch, 26, McLean, Virginia, July 7th, 2022.
Martasia Richmond, 30 years old, Chicago, Illinois, July 12th, 2022.
Kashai Chanel Geeter, 26, Augusta, Georgia, July 20th, 2022.
Candy Red, 29 years old, Kansas City, Missouri, July 24th, 2022.
Hayden Davis, 28 years old, Detroit, Michigan, July 25th, 2022.
Maricela Castro, 39, one day before her 40th birthday, Houston, Texas, July 29th, 2022.
AC Morrison, age 30, Rapid City, South Dakota, August 21st, 2022.
Dee Dee Ricks, 33 years old, Detroit, Michigan, August 27th, 2022.
Regina Maya Allen, 35 years old, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, August 29th, 2022.
Samaj Billingsley, 33 years old, Jacksonville, Florida, September 21st, 2022.
Tiffany Banks, 25, Miami, Florida, October 1st, 2022.
Open unto me, light for my darkness. Open unto me, courage for my fear. Open unto me, hope for my despair. Open unto me, peace for my turmoil. Open unto me, joy for my sorrow. Open unto me, strength for my weakness. Open. Open unto me, wisdom for my confusion. Open unto me, courage for my fear. Open unto me, hope for my despair.
The challenge in thanking individuals is that I will leave someone out. So I want to thank everyone collectively, those who attended, those who participated, those who created. Thank you. 41 names of those who were killed while living their life as their authentic self. 41 beautiful, hopeful faces whose lives were stilled much too soon. 41 beautiful and horrific stories, all of which I have come to know too well. The perpetrators are often never apprehended or brought to justice, and when they are, their defense sometimes seems to be that their violence was somehow justified. The victims of these crimes are often misidentified, misgendered, misnamed, and blamed. Even in death, the victim's life is sometimes erased. Their story not told, misread, altogether forgotten, or buried by a family who unceremoniously reverses an individual's transition, refusing to honor, even in death, the life that their family member fought so hard to live. It has been said that to mourn is honorable, but to remember is holy. We came here this evening to remember. We also came here to seek solace, to seek comfort and reassurance in community, in the presence of each other. We who transgress the established boundaries of gender, we have been around since the beginning of people, and we will be around till the end of people. We are strong, and we are resilient. And we must remember our siblings at the greatest risk among us, our siblings of color. Those who died trying to make a life for themselves. The best way to grieve our dead and to honor the way that they lived is to work together to make this world a better, safer place in which all of us may live together. Beyond relationship rights, we want life rights. We want the police to be held accountable for vigorously investigating the murders of trans and gender expansive individuals, and for reporting our gender correctly and without judgment or prejudice. We want hate crimes to be charged and prosecuted as hate crimes. We want the media to properly honor our names, our pronouns, and our identities. We want non-discrimination protections under the law. We want to be able to find safe housing and safe places. We want good jobs and employment protections, safe working environments. We want access to good health care, health insurance, and quality health care without fear of judgment or refusal of treatment by offering unaffordable options. We want all of these things, and we want all of these things for all of us. Each one of us, for all of us, for our trans and gender expansive family, each and every one, especially trans and gender expansive people of color. Those who live on the margins of the margins. In the 14 years that I have been involved, I have seen too many faces, too many lives lost, so many futures lost. And I have at times lost faith in the systems designed to protect us. And I have at times lost faith in the faith of the leaders of my faith tradition. Yet each year, the one thing that I cannot lose, that we cannot lose, is hope. Sometimes, most times, it is the only thing that keeps me going. hope for the future, hope that we can do better. And each year, when I see the faces and when I hear the names, what gives me hope are your faces, your names. Those present here and those present remotely, the faces of the faith leaders who showed up, the faces of our speakers, the people who served, the people who read names, those who put this service together, who made it real. I will remember them all as well, for in your faces is the hope that we can and that we do make a difference, and the hope that we can inspire others to do the same. May that be so, and may we be the ones who make it so. And with that, go in peace, go in hope.